Good morning. Thank you to our media partners who continue helping us share important information with Calgarians. Unfortunately, today our American Sign Language interpreters are not available. Today, you will hear from City of Calgary Mayor Jyoti Gondek, Calgary Emergency Management Agency Chief Susan Henry, City of Calgary Priorities and Infrastructure Director Francois Bouchard. Our speakers will provide statements, and following all speakers, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. We ask that you limit yourselves to one question and one follow-up. With that, I will turn things over to the mayor.
Oki, Daranastada, Ambawastich, Tanse, and good morning, everyone. Last night, Chief Henry and I made a decision with the water operations team to schedule this update for any information that we could offer you on the status of our water system. At that time, the team was still determining what an easing of restrictions could look like because they had to track our water demand against our supply. So they were preparing to tell you that either restrictions would have to remain or they could be eased, but it was going to be based on information that wasn't coming until this morning. Fortunately, I'm able to give you good news that we have reached another important milestone in restoring our water system. Early this morning, we were able to confirm that we used 492 million liters of water yesterday, which is 18% less water than we would typically use at this time of year. This is part of the reason that we are confident that enough water supply exists to move from stage 4 restrictions down to stage 3 restrictions. We've also increased the flow in the Bears Paw feeder main to be at 55% of regular capacity. And monitoring continues to show that there are no issues as we gradually increase that capacity. That allowed us to get maintenance done at the Glenmore treatment plant, and our water system capacity is in a good place for now. With the move from stage 4 to stage 3 outdoor water restrictions, you can now water your gardens, your shrubs, and your plants outdoors using handheld containers or buckets. So let me be clear about this. You can use your outdoor tap or hose to fill a container, but you must hand water your garden, your flowers, or any planters that you have. Using your sprinklers or your hoses is not allowed in stage 3. Washing your exterior windows or your car at home is not allowed under stage 3. Also, with stage 3, we will be removing the 7 residential non-potable water stations that were spread out throughout the city. And there is big news for those who are looking to escape the heat. Allowances have been made to have outdoor pools and spray parks up and running as soon as possible. And Chief Sue Henry will have more information on that in just a couple of minutes. In the same way we asked you to ease back into typical indoor water usage, we are asking you to please do the same with outdoor water usage. We need to get through this one stage at a time. We're still in the post-op phase if we compare this to a medical procedure. The water system is up and walking, but it's not ready to run yet. As soon as the water team gives the go-ahead, we will then move to stage 2 restrictions, which will allow for more outdoor uses, but that is not something we are in yet. It remains to be seen when we will get to that stage, and we will bring you updates as we have them. So I'm asking again for your patience and your understanding, and you have demonstrated so much of this while we wait for the water system to be at a capacity where we can remove all restrictions. So while we are in stage 3, we need to wait for the water system to get healthier and healthier before we can add any more stress to it. You've done a great job of easing into your indoor water usage, and I have every confidence that you will do the same with outdoor water usage as well. With that, I'll turn things over to Calgary Emergency Management Agency Chief Sue Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. With more capacity flowing and the added capacity coming from the Glenmore Water Treatment Plant now that maintenance has been done, I'm pleased to share with you today that the city took another big step forward in its recovery from the Bears Paw South water feeder main break. We are now able to move Calgarians from stage 4 water restrictions to stage 3. Beginning today, under stage 3, you can water plants by hand watering with a can or container, and businesses can use water for construction, such as dust control, grading, and compaction. For other outdoor plants, shrubs, or grasses, you are still not able to water them using a sprinkler or a hose, just hand watering until we move to a lesser stage of restrictions. We've said that we will bring you back to regular use in phases as the system becomes more stable. In future stages, we'll add things like watering with a hose and sprinklers, but we're just not there yet. We will get you back to service as soon as we are able, and today's move from stage 4 to stage 3 is an important milestone. We know the forecast points to very hot temperatures in the coming days, and we want to create an environment for all Calgarians to find a safe escape from the heat. For that safety concern, public outdoor pools and spray parks have received an exemption from stage 3 restrictions and will begin to be able to reopen as of today. This means our city teams are working hard to bring our services back online. Some City of Calgary spray parks should be open by 1 p.m. tomorrow. However, outdoor wading and community pools will take a bit more prep time. Each pool has their own timeline, so please check calgary.ca for the most up-to-date information. We still cannot allow everyone to fill up your own private backyard pool due to the amount of water that would be required. We know this is a disappointment for those who have a private pool, but we need to focus on what will provide a community benefit, especially given the public safety risk that comes from hot temperatures. While temperatures are supposed to be hot, there are a lot of places to cool down, and we have a map at calgary.ca/heat to see where citizens can go to access these cooler spaces. And heat events are a great time to check in on your neighbors. Make sure they're okay, particularly seniors or vulnerable people who may need a little extra help. We also know that people have been waiting to hear about the fire ban. With more capacity in the system, the Calgary Fire Department is confident we have enough water supply for emergencies. So as of 10:30 today, the fire ban has been lifted. This means you can now safely use propane and natural gas fire pits, open fires, and recreational solid fuel barbecues like charcoal, briquettes, or wood. All hot works that were previously restricted under the fire ban are now permitted to return to normal operations with the standard fire watch and fire safety plan requirements under the fire and building codes. As always, please practice responsible fire safety, maintain control over your fire pits, and ensure they are fully extinguished when you are ready to leave them. A few other service updates for you. Now that Calgarians can water plants by hand using their own tap water source, the city will be closing its river water pickup locations for residents at 2 p.m. today. You will see crews on site begin to demobilize this service about 2 o'clock. Please note that the Ogden location for river water collection remains open for commercial and industry use. We know this has been incredibly difficult for many of our companies and many of our industry partners, and this is why this commercial site will remain open. Particularly, our landscaping businesses will have access to non-potable water at those sites. And as of Monday, street sweeping programs will return to full programming. With the capacity in the system for the necessities like firefighting and other critical uses restored, as of today, we have deactivated the municipal emergency plan and will stand down the emergency operations center. Our water teams will remain working 24/7 to make sure we have safe, quality drinking water and that we continue on the path to recovery and restoration of service. This story is not over. We will continue sharing developing news and important updates with Calgarians regularly. And please visit calgary.ca and our social media channels to stay informed. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone for their help during this unexpected water emergency, including many of our agency personnel who have been working here incredibly long hours to support our city. From our partners in the initial rupture, like police and fire, to our teams in parks, getting you the river water pickup stations, our event partners like the Stampede and many other provincial partners, and so many other people, thank you. Behind the scenes, there's been an army of dedicated people working to keep our citizens safe and to make sure every drop was counted, because as we told you, every drop does count. And finally, to Calgarians, emergencies by nature are unpredictable, but the way you've responded to this situation and have changed your behaviors is inspiring. As someone on our team told me, you made sure our summer wasn't a bummer. You rallied with your water-saving tips, finding new ways to help conserve water and help each other stay positive. Your collective effort, dedication, and resilience have made a difference in this crisis. And not only am I incredibly proud of how this city responded, your stories of what you've done to help us and one another, it's kept us going for the long days here. So thank you. And finally, to our partners in the media, thank you for your effort to come out here daily for our updates and to share current information with our residents. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Director Francois Bouchard.
Thank you, Chief Henry, and good morning, everyone. As Mayor Gondek confirmed, we are now able to ease outdoor water restrictions by lifting Stage 4 restrictions and enabling Stage 3. Maintenance work at the Glenmore Water Treatment Plant was completed on Friday. The pipe diver inspection took a little longer than expected when the pipe diver got temporarily hung up. We have now completed the inspection of the 11-kilometer Bearspaw South feeder main, and the pipe diver will be extracted later today. We expect to receive results in 3 to 4 weeks. After assessing the results, we'll be using this data to inform if there is further investigation or repair work needed. The feeder main is now flowing at 55% water capacity and 82% of normal operating pressure. We're monitoring to ensure the system is stabilizing with Stage 3 restrictions, testing the water to ensure quality, and actively monitoring our supply and demand. With the maintenance at the Glenmore Water Treatment Plant complete and the system remaining stable, we can take another step to gradually ease outdoor water restrictions. I know that many of you are curious as to what Stage 3 outdoor water restrictions will look like. Moving from Stage 4 to Stage 3 outdoor water restriction means Calgarians can resume hand watering of their gardens, trees, and shrubs using a watering can or container with potable water. For businesses, moving from Stage 4 to Stage 3 means construction industry may resume using potable water. All of the non-potable water stations will be closed with the exception of the Ogden location to provide continued support to the landscape industry. We know that Stage 3 restrictions continues to impact the irrigation industry, and we are reaching out to the Irrigation Association to discuss their concerns. The public outdoor hot tubs, swimming and wading pools, and splash parks will also be able to resume operations. Our next milestone will be moving from Stage 3 to Stage 2. This progress relies on our ability to gradually increase supply to our system without compromising the pipe. It is important to note some level of outdoor water restrictions will likely be in place for some time yet. We're unable to confirm the time frame until we progress further. As General Manager Thompson mentioned previously, we learned a lot about this feeder main through this response, and it requires a medium to long-term rehabilitation plan. As a reminder, Stage 3 outdoor water restrictions are now in effect. I will now invite the Mayor back to the podium.
As you heard from Director Bouchard, the water team had to deal with the pipe diver getting stuck in the system temporarily. They took the day yesterday to figure out whether this would impact water flow or water supply. This is the type of unexpected issue that we have cautioned about in the past. Sometimes we need a little bit of time to resolve issues like this, and that can often impact timelines. In this case, we were able to keep water flowing because the pipe diver extraction does not require shutting down the whole water system. I have made a commitment to you to ensure that you are getting all the information we have in a timely manner. And that's why today's update was so important. As I said off the top, we didn't know what the news would be that we were sharing with you today. I'm really happy that it's good news that we're moving from Stage 4 down to Stage 3. However, we understand that sometimes we will have to provide you updates that tell you about status quo, and we are committed to doing that. As we continue to build strength in our water system, we will ensure that you're receiving information about how we will move from Stage 3 to Stage 2. And while those updates will not come from the Emergency Operations Center, as you have just heard from Chief Sue Henry, you will see media advisories and you will see updates on our website letting you know that there are updates to come and where you can tune in to those live streams. Thank you all very much for your patience. Thank you for being such good water stewards in Calgary, Airdrie, Tsuut'ina Nation, Strathmore, and Chestermere. And I want to thank the water team who is still working to make sure that we get our water system fully restored. And Chief Henry, to you and your entire team at the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, we appreciate all the hard work that you have done, and we value you greatly. I'll now turn it over to Chris to take any questions from the media.
Sydney Fitzgerald with Rebel News. Businesses have been begging for an end Stage 4 restrictions with thousands of people's employment on the line. How much of a factor was that in lifting Stage 4 to move to Stage 3?
Throughout this process, we have been very concerned about making sure that residents and businesses can get a return to the water system that they are accustomed to. That's why as soon as we were able to repair the pipes and as soon as we were able to monitor enough progress, we eased the indoor reductions that we had asked people and businesses to take. Now, as we move through the stages of outdoor restrictions, we are absolutely focused on making sure that people's livelihoods are maintained. That's why opening outdoor pools and splash parks and ensuring that the construction industry can keep moving forward were so important as part of our considerations. But the primary thing that we have to look at is making sure that the water supply is safe and it is strong enough for return to full use.
And once we hit Stage 1 and 2 of water restrictions, you'll likely be implementing the residential water use schedules. Will these be made permanent for the remainder of summer?
What we are doing right now is addressing a crisis that we had. We needed to restore water service after we had a major feeder main break on June the 5th. We were able to repair that. We found 5 more hotspots that we needed to repair. And as quickly as we were able to, we brought the system back up to a capacity where we could ease off of reductions as well as restrictions. And we will continue to ease off of those restrictions that are in place to deal with this emergency.
Scott Strasser, Post Media. I know you can't say yet when we might move to Stage 2, but could you give a hint as to maybe some of the thresholds that we would need to reach or milestones that the system needs to reach in order to go down to Stage 2?
Thank you for the question. In terms of the thresholds that we're looking at, it really is now looking at what the demands for water are and how we can balance that and meet that demand with our system. So it will be ongoing monitoring of both water supply and demand to ensure that as we lift restrictions, the system is still capable of supplying that water.
Follow-up is probably also for Director Bouchard. You talked about the pipe diver work and how those results can be expected in 3 to 4 weeks. And I think you said a quote here about after assessing the results, they'll determine if further repair work is needed. I know it's a bit of a hypothetical, but if the results do say that additional repair work on this pipeline is required, I mean, what kind of work could that include? Would that look similar to what people have seen with the hotspot repairs, where that needs to get dug up, fixed up?
So we're looking at different options in terms of the rehabilitation of the pipe in the medium term. Depending on what the inspection results indicate, there might be some individual replacement of pipe, but that's premature in terms of truly identifying what we need to do. What we saw was a pipe failure and then identification of 5 hotspots that we needed to address before the system was put back online. What we are dealing with now is what is the long-term status of the pipe going to be, and how do we reinforce that pipe if necessary?
Just about the exemption for splash parks and wading pools, can you explain a bit about the decision to, and this will probably be for the mayor, I think. Can you explain a bit about the decision to make that exemption for splash parks rather than an exemption for maybe more businesses to be able to use water?
I'll maybe take a stab at that, and then I'll pass that over. With the coming heat, it's really important that we have a lot of options for Calgarians to be able to cool down. We know that Calgarians are vulnerable when we do have these warm stretches, and this is really about the entire community. The team at the Water Emergency Operations Center spent a ton of time modeling how much water would the splash parks and would the outdoor pools actually use, and could we provide that supply under the stage 3 restrictions? And the answer was yes, which allowed us to be able to move forward, also lining that we need to have those places for people to take reprieve from the heat.
Another thing, just with Director Bouchard, what you were saying there about the demand for water being part of the restoration of surface. Is there stampede like creating a demand that's slowing down the restoration at all, or is that not even really part of this equation at this point?
So in terms of water consumption, we're actually still seeing water consumption lower than what we expected. So I think that what we're seeing is Calgarians continuing to practice some of the water saving measures that they've learned over this event. So at this point in time, the water consumption is in fact lower, and therefore concerns about activities and events like the Stampede isn't playing a factor in the progress that we're making.
One more. The Mayor, considering the recent delays in the incident review timeline and your vocal disapproval of Duckworth's draft proposal, do you regret tasking him with this objective or for designing the incident review?
I think one of the most important things for us to think about is what a comprehensive independent review looks like. And when we reached out to experts who have gone through situations similar to this, they gave us a lot of good advice. They gave us advice on how to select someone. They gave us advice on who should be on a panel and how long this could and should take. I think it's incredibly important for the Chief Administrative Officer of the City of Calgary to take on the responsibility for ensuring there is an independent incident review. And we saw a plan that Council did not necessarily agree with. We will see something different coming in July, and we'll look at it to see if it hits the mark of transparency and information sharing for all Calgarians. All right, with that, thank you, everybody. I know it's a Saturday. Appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate all the work you've been doing to reduce your water usage. It's been fantastic to see those numbers still staying down. Thank you so much to all of our media partners for attending today and in the past 4 weeks and making sure that everyone gets the information they need. Thank you so much.